Hi friends, and welcome to our monthly money reset. I'm so excited to be sitting down with you and budgeting for the new month. I just completed my first full month living in Hawaii. So for July, I feel like I really didn't know what to expect cost-wise, but going into August, have my eyes been open to the cost of living in Hawaii. We'll get into that a little bit more later. If you're new to my channel, let me formally introduce myself. Hello, I'm Kayla. I'm 25, 26 next month, which is wild. I'm currently working as a travel physical therapist and living in Hawaii. I post lifestyle content, mostly focused around how I try to live a happier, more intentional life, as well as personal finance content with videos like this one. And these budgeting videos really are some of my favorite to make. Budgeting is just a time for me where I feel like I get to bring some order to my life. Like it gives the feels of if I just clean the whole house, you know, just like a woo-saw moment. I also just really appreciate being able to create a space where talking about money isn't so taboo. I don't know about you, but I know that I was kind of raised not to really talk about money, but I do feel like chatting about our finances is a really good way to grow and just be better managers of our money. And that being said, this video will not at all be financial advice. I wanted to give the feels of just a girl and her best friends sitting in their living rooms or wherever it is that you're sitting right now and chatting about their budget. First thing we'll chat about today is just a review of our previous month. I'll show you how things shook out in each of my spending categories, looking at income, savings, things like that, and then just take some time to reflect on how I feel about that spending and try to set some intentions going into the new month before we set up our August budget. So yeah, step one is let's look at July. Welcome to my July budget. For the second month in a row, she's gotten an upgrade. And I know that I've said before that I'm constantly tweaking this budget, but I don't know. I really like this one. I think that this one is here to stay for a while. If you haven't been able to tell, brown is one of my favorite colors. I don't know where it came from, but I just became a brown girly. Like I like the neutrals. Anyways, the budget is now brown. I said before, I like watching personal finance videos on YouTube, and two of my favorite creators are Smiley Citrus and Carter Sullivan. So if you haven't checked out their videos, you definitely should. I gain a lot of budget inspo from them, and that's where a lot of the tweaks have come from in the past, like getting the progress bars, like these little green, red, and yellow bars here, just so I get a quick snapshot of what I'm looking at. But recently I've been looking a little bit at a creator, Zoe Pritchard, and her budget is fully green, and the monochrome, once I saw it, I was like a bug to the light. Anyways, my budget template is linked down below if you're interested in getting it. Also, lots of other functional budgets on Etsy if you're like a Google Spreadsheets budgeter like I am. I think there are also apps you can get, find what works for you budgeting wise. The first thing I do when I'm going over my budget for the previous month is check out my overview tab up here, because that lets me know what I ended the month with. So that's the current balance. And this month it's close to 2,000. I usually try to aim for like a 600 number, but it's adjusted a little bit now, but just because I have to pay all my rent on the first, which is kind of new to me, and my rent's 1,100. So my new aim is for closer to 17. Some creators I watch try to zero out their balance. My number is 1,700. You got to do what works for you. But yeah, I got 1,900, so a little bit over on how much money I brought into July, but that's okay. Then I scroll down to my income tab. So working as a travel therapist, I get paid weekly. So that's why I have the 4 paychecks. For July, I really didn't know what to expect paycheck wise, just because they tell you what you're going to make grossly for travel therapy, what your gross number is for each week, but you don't know how much gets taken out from tax until you work that first week and see what happens. So yeah, this was nice to give me an idea of what I'm gonna make. I tried to under budget with these 1,500 numbers, and the first one was extra because I got my reimbursement for traveling. My takeaway from income this month is to budget for the lowest possible income, which feels obvious, but I think I was just being really optimistic. My travel contract says I'm guaranteed 36 hours, but I was just thinking, I'll get 40 hours every week, like it won't be a problem. But I really did end up with some 36-hour weeks. And the first week was super light. I was only guaranteed 20 hours for the first week because they kind of ease you into things. So that's why that was closer to 13. But overall, I'm just happy to know what to expect paycheck wise. I think this one, paycheck 4, was exactly a 36-hour week. So that's what I will budget for roundabout next month for each paycheck. And once again, I got some credit card money. I've talked about it before, but I'm a huge supporter of credit cards. I think that if you're responsible with them and you're disciplined enough, you can get a little bit of extra income back. And the credit card companies are constantly preying on us, waiting for us to slip up. So I say, let's make some money off of that. That being said, July was my first month ever getting interest on a credit card. I usually am able to pay them all off on time, paying the amount in full, no interest, anything. But your girl has a lot of credit cards, like 6 or 7 credit cards. So they're a lot to manage. I honestly was sticking more to using maybe 2 or 3 of them, probably closer to 2. But in July, I tried to look at all the benefits and really make sure I was using them to the best of their abilities. So there's a card now I use for groceries and a card I use for gas. And that resulted in me using more cards, getting bills on ones that I wasn't used to paying off, and I got a little bit of interest charge. But that's okay. Interest is all right. It wasn't any like late fees or anything like that. And the way I avoid that is just setting up auto payments. So if you are gonna go with my credit card method and try to make some money off of them, at least set up an auto payment. My auto pay is for the minimum, but you can make it the full amount if you're sure you can pay that off for the month. So yeah, first month ever getting interest from credit cards. I just had to put that out there. I really got a guilty conscience about it, so I just had to tell somebody. Okay, moving on. Then I look at expenses, and this one's gonna hit me hard. Hawaii is just an expensive state to live, you know? So let's go through each of the categories. Groceries, I tried to budget $600. I usually budget like $5 when I was living in different states on the East Coast, and that was usually enough. $15.40 is wild. How is that what I paid for groceries? Giving myself some grace. Some of it is rollover from June. I hadn't paid off some of my cards from June, and they got paid off and got lumped in. There are also a ton of just one-off, one-time expenses when you move for each of these little travel contracts. And I had to get some pans that the house didn't come with. I also got, we bought a fan because no AC, you're gonna need a fan, and bug spray. Hawaii is known for their cockroaches. So those are just a couple things I got that are like one-time things that won't carry into my grocery budget for next month. I call it all groceries. Like if I go to the store and do a huge trip, if 90% of it is groceries and then I get some bug spray, I just call it all groceries. It's too much to itemize for me. So I am hoping to get that significantly less in August. It'll be a big task, but I'm up for it. Eating out, I only budgeted $200 because Devin and I are doing this thing where he's taking over eating out completely. Again, had some rollover from June, so that's why it was a little bit higher. Did I eat out any other times? I'm gonna search eating out. Most of them are from June. Also rude, I didn't even introduce Devin. I'm just throwing his name around. I'm sorry. Devin is my boyfriend. We've been dating for 7 years. He's here with me in Hawaii. So yeah, we share finances a little bit. So you'll see him in my videos, and that's what I'm talking about if I say Devin. All right, back to the budget. Gas was less than I budgeted for. I think Devin did pick up gas one time though. So that is skewing the numbers to make it look like it's less than it is. I live on Big Island in a small town called Hilo. So most things are about 10 minutes away. Even though gas is expensive, I just didn't drive far. Medical, I didn't budget anything because I think I was just annoyed last month. In June, I spent a good amount of money on my dental bill, and I made a point. I was like, you know what? In July, I don't have any doctors in Hawaii. I'm not spending any money on medical. And that wasn't realistic because I do still buy vitamins and stuff from the store. And so now I have an idea of about how much my vitamins are gonna cost. I'll budget maybe $80 next month. For social, Devin and I did try one of the bars here in Hawaii one night. They do live music, so that's awesome. You never know what you're gonna get. There's a lot of reggae here, but the night we went, I think they did like bluegrass. It's just local artists, so not really our vibe. But we did enjoy just like stepping out. And then they also had an art gallery there, so that was really cool to see. But he bought our drinks, so zero money in social, loving that for myself. Gifts, it was Devin's birthday last month, and he got one of his ears pierced, and I wanted so bad for him to get both of them. So I told him, like, if you get the other side, I'll cover it. So that's his ear piercing cost. For savings and subscriptions and bills, they have their own boxes over here, so I'll get into those later. We'll skip one to doodads. Doodads, I call them this because of cash flow. If you've ever played that game, it's like supposed to be like Monopoly, but a little bit more realistic to give you an idea of what having to manage finances in the real world is like. And I learned the word doodads from that game. For me in my budget, I call anything that I spend on myself like fun money, like just getting myself makeup or clothing or things like that. I call that doodads. So that's what doodads are. And I tried to do 200 this month, went a little bit over. Most of this is clothes I got myself. I only brought 2 suitcases, and I thought I could be a frugal minimalist girl, which I am, I think. But I opened those suitcases and I was like, this was not enough. I need more, I need variety. So I did some shopping. Miscellaneous, anything that doesn't fall into my other categories. It's not just for me for fun. Like I didn't want to buy it, I had to buy it. That goes into miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is way more than I wanted it to be this month. What did I spend money on? All right, so I looked at my transactions. I keep saying this, but the miscellaneous really did come a lot from June. I got tired of itemizing all the credit card payments I hadn't paid yet into each of the categories because I felt like it wasn't a good representation of July if I did it in June. So there was like one of my credit card bills that I paid was close to 200, and I just stuck it all in miscellaneous because I was like, this was from June. And then travel PT, budgeted about $100. That's how much it cost me to bring our suitcases here, so hadn't paid that one off in June. That rolled over. I usually don't have money expenses for that, and most of it is covered under the reimbursement that I got at the beginning of the month. Content creation. I tried some new things this month. I set up my Etsy, so that took a little bit of funds. And then also I started my TikTok this month, and just to see what it would do, I boosted, I think, my first 2 videos. So that was the cost of that plus Etsy. Cool. Okay, so those are my expenses. On to subscriptions and bills. Not much really changed here. Some things went up like a teeny bit. So Spotify went up $1. They creep up on you like that. Like they're just like, oop, $1 this month, $1 in 2 months. But I am gonna keep getting Spotify, so I'd appreciate them not doing that because I'll keep paying. But my phone bill, it usually fluctuates by no more than like $5. I think that might be maybe how much I use my hotspot. I'm not really sure. But other than that, everything was like what I expected. My car payment, that just is my rental car here in Hawaii. It's $850. Devin and I split it. iCloud's a little different. Once again, I had rollover from June. That's something I'm really trying to avoid next month. Like I finished out July in July, so there is very minimal rollover happening in August. So that's that. I have to talk about my savings accounts before. I have 3 of them. There's Devin and I's joint account, which we are trying to save really aggressively into to hopefully buy a house in the future. Hawaii expenses are not making it easy to save aggressively. My emergency fund, which your girl is still building. I just got out of school like a year ago, and before that, emergency fund was a cerro. Like she was nothing, but we're working on her. And then my long-term investment account. They're all clearly light this month, but I do think that I need to attack savings a little bit differently. And it's wild talking about your budget out loud. I think it's so helpful because even as I'm about to say this, I'm like, do you really do that? I usually just spend the money that I need to spend on groceries and other expenses like that, and what's left at the end of the week or pay period I put into savings, which sounds so bad. Like obviously I should put savings away first, but I think that saving has never been a problem for me. Like usually I'm an oversaver, underspender. But as I continue to adult, the expenses just keep building and they're like, huh, you think you're gonna put this in savings? We're taking it now. I need to start doing my savings first. So I'll make a point to be different about that going into next month. I wanna get my paycheck, set aside my savings, and then I get to spend the rest because that's obviously how it should go. So now we're just gonna round out July and talk a little bit more about the money fields, about how I feel like closing out this month, and set some goals and intentions moving into August. The first thing that I would like to be very, very, very different in August than it was in July is my grocery spending. I refuse to believe that I need to spend $1,500 on groceries in a month, but we can do better. Some of the spending, granted, was one-off expenses. It was money that had rolled over from June. I also just was exploring the grocery stores around here. We've got a Walmart, a Target, a store called KTA, and then something called Cost You Less, which is like Hilo Hawaii's version of Costco. So I was just kind of buying from each store and being like, oh, how much does it cost here? How much does it cost here? And now I know how much it costs. And so I don't have to do that exploration anymore. And hopefully I'm buying from the cheapest stores at this point. Another spending category I'd like to be lower is doodads. I want to give myself a pat on the back before I absolutely rail myself and tell myself that $300 is too much to just spend for fun in a month. Because in June, I think my spending was closer to like $500 or $600 on doodads. And I looked at that number just like I'm looking at my grocery number right now, and I was like, absolutely freaking not. And I brought it down. So good job, Kayla. But I'd like to challenge myself to bring it down just a little bit more. Really, I'm just gonna try to actually hit that 200 number this month. Be really watching my pockets when I spend money on fun stuff. And then lastly, a goal I want to set going into August, changing the way I do my savings. Once I get my paychecks this month, I'm going to be really intentional about going ahead and moving a portion of it into savings. So I cannot say, oh no, I accidentally spent it on XYZ and didn't have time for savings. We talked about that, but yeah, that's what I want to do for savings. Also, thank you to the person in the comments last time who said, get you a Roth IRA, because she sounded concerned for me. It was like, love this video, really cute, and girl, you should get yourself a Roth IRA. Like, I'm worried for you. I've heard the term Roth IRA thrown around so much, but the truth is I didn't know exactly what it was. If you don't know, that's okay. I looked into it for both of us. So my understanding of a Roth IRA is it's an individual retirement account where you're investing your money however you see fit. And then once you are 59 and a half, you can take it out tax-free. This is really helpful if you feel like you're gonna grow in your tax bracket from now to when you're 59 and a half, which we all are, right? Like, let's believe in ourselves. So that way, once you take money out of your Roth IRA and you've grown in your tax bracket, you don't have to pay that tax brackets funds for taking it out. So what I'm gonna do this month is move the money from my previous 401k to my Roth IRA. Thank you for who said that. I appreciate your concern for me. got my Roth IRA. Other thing I want to do for savings this month is set up a sinking fund. When it's time for gifts, like whether it's birthday gifts or Christmas gifts, it always hits me hard for the month. I'm never prepared for it and I overspend what I budgeted for. So if you don't know what a sinking fund is, again, this is also new to me. I've gotten it from some of the creators I watch on YouTube, but my understanding is it's just money we're setting aside in a separate savings account for a specific purchase. So I'm gonna make like a celebration / gift saving fund and partially save into it each month. So when Christmas rolls around, hopefully I've got a nice lump sum that's already been set aside and my pockets aren't just screaming in November and December. So yeah, those are my goals and intentions walking into August. Let's actually look at the budget and get this thing set up. Hello, August. Love the way that she's super fresh, all green bars. So starting balance is what I ended with in July 1945. Then I just try to say what I think I'm gonna make for each paycheck. Like I said, I'm gonna try to budget now off the 36-hour paycheck. So that was $15.97, I think. So just to be sure, I'll budget $15.95 for each paycheck. And I never budget anything for credit card or any miscellaneous income. If I get it, thank goodness. If not, it's okay. All right, so now I can budget for my expenses. Scrolling to those. Groceries, that was $15.40 in July. I wanna bring it down, but I also wanna be realistic. So I am gonna budget $1,000. I would love for it to be less, but, oh, not 10,000, 3. Okay, I'd love for it to be less, but that might be what's attainable. We will see. Eating out, I'm gonna bring that way down because Devin's supposed to be taking eating out. So I'm only gonna budget 50 in case I wanna be nice and treat him a little bit. Gas, that was only 75, but I do know that we're trying to drive to the other side of the island this month, which is about an hour-and-a-half drive. So that'll take a little bit more gas. So I'll budget 120. For medical, that was 80 last month on vitamins and things like that. So I'll just budget the same. Hopefully I don't go over 80. Social, 20 still. If we go get drinks, shouldn't be more than that. I'm not budgeting anything for gifts this month, but I will have something in the celebration gift sinking fund. So I'll just move that to 0. For doodads, yeah, I said 200. We're gonna try for 200. Hopefully I don't spend more than that. Travel PT is not gonna cost me anything this month. I don't expect to spend anything on content creation, but I don't know, I'll put 15 just in case. And miscellaneous does end up usually being more than 100. I don't know, it just seems to be a little bit more than I expect each month. So I'm gonna budget 150 just in case. Moving over to subs and bills. Changes for the month, YouTube TV is staying the same. I said Spotify is $11.99 now. My phone bill was $114, so I'm just gonna say budget 115. Card payment only needs to be $425. And then storage, I got a message that storage is going up. That's the nature of storage. They seem to go up. Like every 3-4 months, they try to increase storage. And last time, the last storage company I was with went crazy. Like they thought I was gonna let them up forever. So we just moved to a new storage unit. But now that we're in Hawaii, I really can't switch storage. So whatever number they give me, I have to take. They went up to 102. Everything else should be the same. Awesome. All right, so going over to my savings accounts, I know that I'm adding a Roth IRA this month. Roth IRA. And then I said I'm gonna have a celebration sinking fund. I'm gonna do some math real quick and decide how much to put in each of my savings accounts. All right, did the math. I'm gonna do like 1,000 into my joint account, 1,000 for long-term, a little bit less than my emergency fund. I've talked about before how that one's just kind of the least of my worries right now. I feel pretty stable and it's growing a little bit each month as I add to it. I'm just more interested in investing. Also, I accounted for the Roth. That's how much money was in my 401k that I'm rolling over. So I added that money to my income tab over to the left, and then I just put that I'm gonna put it all in the Roth IRA. So yeah, savings are set up. Last thing that I do after going through, like setting up all those budgeted categories, is put in any expenses that I've already made on the month. This is usually when I add in the rollover from the previous month, but I only have, like I said, one thing rolling over. I'm gonna enter in all my pending transactions and put that iCloud one in that I said is rolling over from July, and then we'll be done setting up our budget. Okay, transactions are officially all entered and we are set up for the month of August. If you made it to the end of this video with me, I just wanna say thank you. I so appreciate you taking out time and sitting and listening to me chat about my budget. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you very, very soon for another video.